The Vancouver Canucks have done it again. What is going on? Honestly, the Canucks have now won 4 in a row as they take down one of the hottest teams in the NHL. The Carolina Hurricanes coming into this game were 19-6-1. Sure, they just are on a back-to-back, just like the last couple of teams were that faced the Canucks. But hey, they're still a damn good team. Sure, they were without Sebastian Aho. Yeah, but the Canucks didn't have Oliver Ekman-Larsson. They didn't have Travis Hamonic. The Canucks are missing guys too, and they go out and they take down one of the best teams in hockey right now by a score of 2-1. It was a game that really, if the Canucks were going to win it, you'd think their offense would have had to outscore their defense, and the defense held up, only allowing 1 goal against the high-flying Hurricanes. And, I mean, Bruce, there it is all I can really say here, folks. Let's break this one down as we always do. Then we'll go over my thoughts. My list of thoughts on this game is the longest it has ever been. Because I watched this game already knowing the result because it got spoiled for me after the game. So I was really just focusing on my pluses and minuses for the entire game as I watched it, skipping the commercials, skipping the pauses, and firing through this game a little bit late at 11 p.m. show tonight. We'll do it about 30 minutes. We'll take your questions. You guys know the whole deal at this point. Thank you guys for joining me this late. I'm impressed that you guys are here. The diehards, the true legends in the chat here. Let's break it down. Thatcher Demko playing his 24th start of the season. That is the NHL lead by a lot, or not a lot maybe, but it is the NHL lead, as the Canucks have only played like 29 games now, and he has started 24 of them. So Halak's only had 5 games of his own against Antti Raanta as the Hurricanes were on a back-to-back. In the first period, the Hurricanes score first, and it's 6.5 minutes in, and you watch it, and it's like, oh yeah, that doesn't count. And there was no argument because Andrei Svechnikov puts the stick straight up in the air and smites it out of the sky, like 8.5 feet in the air. So it doesn't count. That's fine. But then the Canucks do open the scoring. It's late in the first period, and it's Brock Boeser. Tanner Pearson plays it over to Boeser. Boeser just sort of pokes it over to JT Miller. Miller gives it back to him, a little give and go. That good mental communication. Teravainen goes to lift his stick, can't get it. The quick shot, the Brock Boeser classic, quick shot, far post, past Antti Raanta and in, 1-0 Vancouver. So the shots are 10-6 Carolina in the first period. So it's one that Canucks are sort of glad to survive, but they played all right, and they get the first goal of the game. So they go to the second period, and the Canucks are putting pressure on early. We have Tyler Myers turning on the Jets about 7.5 minutes in, and he says, yeah, I can just skate past everybody. He turns on the Jets, makes it a 4-on-2. Quick little tap over to Garland. Myers keeps going to create that separation, get some depth in the play, which allows Elias Patterson to be the trailer and have a ton of room in front of him. Garland plays it over to him. And Elias Patterson in the slot, he's got his new stick back. He's solved the Bauer manufacturing error that happened. He's got the 82 flex stick back in his hands, and he rips it over the glove of Raanta to put the Canucks up 2-0. And the Bruce, there it is chance to start raining throughout Rogers Arena. This is Elias Pettersson's first home goal at even strength since February. 10 months without a goal at Rogers Arena at even strength. But he earned it. He looked fantastic tonight, at least compared to, what we've seen from him lately. But he looked a lot better, and that, building off of that Forsberg move that he pulled off in the shootout a couple nights ago to go out, rip a quick shot past Raanta. Love it, love it, love it. JT Miller almost made it a 3-0 game as he ripped a slap shot from the high slot off the post. Carolina built up some pressure late, but the Canucks held them off and retained their 2-0 lead into the second intermission. Shots in the second period, 11-10 for Vancouver. We go to the third. We have Marty Necas, who makes it a 1-goal game. Carolina clearing the zone. It hops over the stick of Kyle Burrows. That's unfortunate. The way the Canucks are playing is they're trying to have a forward stay up high, which allows the defenseman on the strong side, whichever side the puck is on, to try to pinch and try to hold the line, which can help retain some pressure. The downside is if that third forward's not high enough and they get it past the defenseman, they can have an on-man rush the other way. And that's exactly what happens. It hops over the stick of Kyle Burrows, and it ends up being a 2-on-1. Brad Hunt goes down trying to block the pass. It gets past him, and Nate just makes a nice little move on Demko. And it's 2-1 Carolina now, or 2-1 Vancouver as Carolina scores. Now, looking back at sort of the green era from earlier this season, this is when things would get a little bit scary, right? We had games where the Canucks would have a lead or maybe even a 2-goal lead in the third period, and then they'd take some penalties, and then things would fall apart and they'd lose the game. The Canucks almost get the 2-goal lead back pretty close after that, though. We have Patterson and Garland on a 2-on-1 that Garland sort of flubs the pass on. Then Horvat takes a penalty. There's the tripping penalty, 13 minutes to go. And this, again, it feels like one of those things that would kill the Canucks previously, but it's a really good penalty kill. A couple of strong chances, but Demko was solid as always, and the Canucks kill this one off. The only penalty the Canucks took tonight. And then late in the game, it is just back and forth sort of mayhem. The game sort of gets out of control. We have Dickinson and Lamico on a counterattack with 4 minutes to play. Like, Carolina's trying to tie the game, and we have a Dickinson and Lamico counterattack that they almost score on, each of them with a good chance. Then we have another counterattack where JT Miller and Tanner Pearson almost score, each of them. And then Carolina pulls the goalie. Carolina has a 3-on-2. Podkolzin went for the empty net, got run over. Carolina has a 3-on-2 the other way, but Teravainen robbed in tight by Demko, and the Vancouver Canucks win this game, hanging on 2-1. Shots in the third period, 9-9, 29-26 total for Carolina. So this makes it 4 straight wins for the Canucks, 6 out of the last 7 games. Remember, this team was, I think, 6-14-2. Is that right? 6-14-2. Like, that team, that's a team that's done. Well, now they're 12-15-2. They're still out of it, but they're a little less out of it than they were just a week ago, folks. I mean, what was it? What was that game against the Penguins was last Saturday. Travis Green and Jim Benning were fired 7 days ago. Think about how we felt 8 days ago, right? That Canucks and Penguins game, and it felt like, man, we are just in for a long ride here. And yeah, sure, they had just beat the Sens and the Habs, but they're 2 of the worst teams in the NHL. And the Canucks looked, it was like they didn't look great in those games. They just were better than the other team. They get dummied by the Penguins, and then they go out and they get a new coach, and they sweep the week. A 4-0 week in the NHL is not easy to do. Bruce Boudreau said you got to win every week, and they have if they win every week from now on, they're easily in the playoffs after a nice little sweep here. It keeps them at 7th in the Pacific, 2 points back of LA, 5 points back of San Jose. Vegas also won tonight, which hurts the Canucks. Vegas at 32 points in 27 games. Canucks have 26. The Canucks really are going to be chasing after Vegas or Edmonton. Edmonton is really struggling here. Edmonton has lost 5 straight. If they continue that stretch, that could be a chance for the Canucks to get back in it. But again, it's a long way down the road. Let's get into our pluses, our minuses for this one. Raro saying 8-15-2, but they were 6-14-2 before that because they beat the Habs and Sens and then lost to Pittsburgh before that. So they were 6-14-2 at one point. Let's get into pluses, minuses. I think I have, let's count them here, like 13 or 14 pluses to go over in this game. And it's a game where the Canucks might have been the worst team, like just by a little bit. I think it was fairly close, which is saying a lot, considering that the Hurricanes are a damn good team. But I've got a lot of things to go over from this game because I was, again, watching it with a much closer eye on sort of each individual player than I normally do. I already went over the 4 straight wins. Let's go over Thatcher Demko. Thatcher Demko has been so good on this run. In this 4-game winning streak, they mentioned it off the top of the broadcast. The first 3 games, he had like a .962 save percentage. Tonight, he allows 1 goal on 29 shots, which is about, like .960-ish, .970? So he'll basically keep that. So this whole week, Thatcher Demko goes 4-0 with like a .965 save percentage. If Thatcher Demko is not the first star of the week in the NHL's eyes, then something crazy is going on here, because he has been absolutely phenomenal. My next plus, the overall energy that this team has. They were up a goal, they were up 2 goals, and they kept pressing. They kept keeping tight on guys. They were always skating. Shifts were short. Guys were just going. They weren't sitting back and letting the play come to them. They were playing aggressive. And it has just been a night and day difference over that team from a week ago. Again, they might have been the worst team tonight, but they were barely the worst team tonight. And they just looked so much stronger than they had in the past. I think if they played this game against Carolina under that old system and with that old level of energy, this game's probably 4-1 Carolina, if I had to bet. Elias Patterson. I have 3 of my pluses are on Elias Patterson here. Number 1, he ripped that shot. Like his stick is like, I don't know. Again, I struggle to blame everything on, he was using the wrong stick, right? Because it clearly wasn't just his shooting that suffered. It was his entire game that was suffering, and it's not perfect yet, but he's definitely getting better. But the confidence that he's gotten from going back to this other stick, making that move in the shootout, scoring that goal tonight, which is the game winner. Nice for him to get a game winner here. That's big. My second plus on Elias Patterson is that he's drawing penalties again. Carolina only took 1 penalty in this game. Vancouver only took 1 penalty in this game. Maybe a couple calls missed both ways, but hey, 1 penalty aside, it's fair, it's even. I don't think one team was being egregious towards the other. So fine officiating. But Patterson drew that 1 penalty, and it was a forecheck. He dumped the puck in. He forced the guy to hold him. And it was a holding penalty or an interference penalty. I don't know what exactly they called it. But he drew a penalty, which he's been historically one of the top guys in the league at drawing penalties, which is great. It helps the team a lot. And my third plus for Elias Patterson is just his forecheck. He's just going out there, going after pucks. Like and the whole team's doing this, but he's got the speed and the stick skill to do it better than other people, right? Where he's going in, he's making poke checks. He had a big hit at one point. Loved Patterson's game tonight. Or was it? It was Pog Colson that had the hit, not Patterson. They both start with P. They're on the same line. But either way, his forecheck was great. Bo Horvat is a big plus for me tonight. Bo Horvat had a great game. I don't know if everyone else had the same opinion as me, but he looked really good there. He had 6 shots tonight as I look at the stats here. Led the team. No one else had more than 2. But Bo Horvat had 6 shots. He was all over the place out there. And he was the only guy who was a plus in the faceoff circle. So a good game from Bowie. Quinn Hughes has looked so good this entire run. There was one play in the second period, because they were going that way across the screen, where Quinn Hughes had a guy all over his back, and then he did a pivot. Like the Canucks were like sort of back in their own zone, and then he just did a pivot, and suddenly there was like 7 feet of separation, and he just skated up the ice. Like, Quinn Hughes is still getting better. Like, that's the crazy thing here. Last year, Quinn Hughes wasn't great. He was bad defensively. He was like, what was his plus minus last year? He was a minus 24 last year. This year he's a plus 6. Like, sure, he still got a lot of assists last year, but he wasn't great last year. But this year, his defense is better. He's killing penalties now under Bruce Boudreau a little bit. He looks so much better. And again, he's 22 years old. He's going to keep getting better. That contract is going to turn into an absolute steal for Quinn Hughes. And we're only through half of our pluses here. JT Miller got another assist tonight. He is only 1 point back of being at a point per game. I want to give a shout out to the shot blocking. I have been hard on Tucker Poolman. I have been hard on the contract that Tucker Poolman has. But my God, if Tucker Poolman doesn't love blocking a shot. 7 blocks tonight for Tucker Poolman. Bravo, Tucker. He was credited with 7. One of those was definitely a pass. But either way, Tucker Poolman was out there for the entire last couple of minutes, and he was just getting in shooting lanes. I think he blocked like 3 shots in the last couple of minutes. So great from him. I do want to give a shout out to Bruce Boudreau, having faith in all of his lines. No Canucks forward played 20 minutes tonight. The only person who played like a low number of minutes, other than Höglander, who I'm guessing got hurt, Like he only played 2 shifts. Like I don't know what happened to him. I kind of missed it. But I saw him go off at about the 14.5 minute mark, and he only came back on twice for very short shifts. But Mott, Dowling were the only guys under like 13 minutes other than Höglander. So, and no one was over 20, with JT Miller being the most at 19.5. So, I mean, that's just good, right? Keeps everyone fresh. Everyone's taking short shifts, moving the entire time. We really love to see that. The Canucks, my next plus is that the Canucks got the lead and they didn't give it back. Carolina did not lead at one point in this game, except for maybe about the half second before that first goal got waved off. But the Canucks just held the lead, right? They didn't allow too much high danger chances. There was only 12 high danger chances for Carolina, which is kind of a lot, but I mean, they didn't let anything through. Thatcher Demko is a big part of that, but hey, if the other team never leads, you're guaranteed to at least get 1 point. All right, my next plus. Canucks stayed out of the box. The Canucks took 1 penalty. It was Horvat for a trip in the third period, and they drew 1 penalty. It was a low penalty game, and I think that was fair. But, that's good. Stay out of the box. Didn't give the other team a chance to score power play goals. Keep it at 5-on-5 where you can sort of control the play, and that worked really well. And then my last plus, Jason Dickinson, I think had a really good night. I also think Juho Lammikko had a pretty good night as well. But Jason Dickinson, 4 hits tonight. So good on Jason Dickinson in his 16 minutes or so of ice time. Let's go on to the minuses. So I had about 15 pluses and I have 5 minuses. So let's go over those. Carolina was probably the better team overall, not by a lot. I'm talking like, I'd say if you play that game out 100 times, Carolina maybe wins like 55 of them, maybe 58, right? Carolina was probably the slightly better team, but hey, you're allowed to have a really good goalie who keeps you in it. So that's fine. Especially the first period and that sort of flurry late in the third, but the Canucks did have chances of their own on the counterattack in the third period as well. My next minus is that the Corsi was 65-41. Lots of this comes from, so that's just shot attempts, 65 for Carolina, 41 to Vancouver. But the shots were only off by 3, and that's just a testament. The Canucks blocking 24 shots compared to Carolina's 9, which is just sort of the big difference there. My next minus is that the math still looks bad. Like the Canucks are now 12, 15, and 2. So they're still, they're 6 points out of a playoff spot right now still. But hey, that's a lot better than it was a week ago, right? A week ago, they were like 8, 10 points out of it. So the math looks bad, but hey, if you can make up 1 point every week, you'll be in it by the end. So I'm not saying they are going to make the playoffs. I'm saying that would be a really nice end to the season. But if they can keep playing this way, there's no reason that they can't at least get close. And that's the big thing, right? At least they can have a shot, which is all you want, right? Make it interesting. Give yourself a look at trying to make the playoffs. They're not going to win the cup this year. Probably. I mean, they could. It would be wild if they did. If the Canucks win the cup this year, I mean, put Jim Benning in the Ring of Honor because he built the team. But I don't think that's going to happen. My next minus is that Canucks only scored 2 goals. And sure, again, they're against a tough Carolina team. But the way this defense is, again, with OEL out, with Hamonic out, and just the way they're built, right? The fact that you have Brad Hunt, Kyle Burrows, Luke Shen, Luke Shen's been great. And then like Tyler Myers, Tyler Myers and being your top guy in minutes is kind of scary, especially when Tucker Pullman is your number 2 guy in minutes tonight. But I mean, it worked out. What I'm saying is this is a team that is going to need to start outscoring their problems. 2 goals tonight, only 2 goals against Boston, or only 1 goal against Boston other than the shootout goal on Wednesday. This team's going to need to outscore their defense at some point. Thatcher Demko's bailing them out. If this team can score 3-4 goals a game, it's going to be a lot easier for them to win. Then my last minus, Niels Höglander being hurt early in the third. Like I said, only had 2 short shifts after the 14-minute mark. Okay, we're 20 minutes in. Let's take 10 minutes of your questions, as long as my throat doesn't give out here. We're really on the back end of this cold. My problem is, when I get sick, even once I'm at like past the point of being like contagious, my only symptom I have left is I cough for like a month. So hopefully that goes away early this time. Okay. First thing we've got here, first comment we're going to take from Jeremy. The fact that we're winning without OEL and Hamonic shows that we've started playing with heart. I didn't see that this season with the old regime. I think you're 100% right. The heart wasn't there. The effort wasn't there. The aggression wasn't there. I think the biggest thing we can take away from this era, and I mean, calling an era 4 games in is a bit much, but like this current state of the Canucks is aggression. They are just aggressive. They're hard on pucks. My fear is, like, there's 2 sides to this coin, right? There's one side saying they haven't even gotten really indoctrinated in Bruce Boudreau's systems yet. They're just going to get better and better and better. Even if they start losing some games, they're going to get better with practice. The other side of it is, will teams get used to this aggressive play style, right? The aggressive penalty kill. Will teams learn to adapt around it and start scoring more goals on the power play? Will teams learn to adapt to, the hard forecheck and try to get odd man rushes the other way? For now, it's working, which is great. It's kind of a double-edged sword there, though. Like, will they improve because they're learning the systems more, or will they get in trouble as teams start to learn their system and adapt to it and watch more film? So who knows at this point? Earl saying, do you think the hockey gods are baiting us? Have us win games to get our hopes up, then crush our hopes last minute? Probably. I mean, it feels like the hockey gods do this over and over to us. Why we keep falling for it, I don't know. It's fun while it lasts, and then it's devastating after, but it's a ride that we've all signed up for. It's a ride that apparently we enjoy enough to keep doing. And I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I'm here. Lauren saying, is Demko going to get star of the week? He has to. He has to get first. I don't know how everyone else around the league has been doing. Did anyone score like 6 goals this week? Like, that could be a contender. But I mean, Demko literally went 4-0 on a bad team, or a team that has been bad this season. Maybe Bruce gets first star of the week. Can they do that? Can they give it to a coach? It should be like Demko, Boudreau, and then like whoever else is tearing it up right now. I think that would be a good, fair compromise for everybody. Let's see here. Aisha saying, once again, is that hope I'm feeling? Yep. Let's get the hope up. Here we go. Kai saying, as much as I don't like the contracts for Poolman and Myers, which is fair, I have been really impressed how they stepped up with OEL and Hamonic injured. Yeah. Poolman hasn't been great this year, but tonight, he was very, very good. And you know what? If he hadn't been very good, this might have been a different game. Same with Tyler Myers. Tyler Myers, he gets memed, and Wyatt really has put this on as like the chaos giraffe, right? Which he really lives up to, but he's actually good. Like, he's actually a good player. He makes some stupid mistakes and takes some dumb penalties, but it happens. But when he needs to, he can play 26 minutes a night. He can play fine defense. He can go on these random offensive rushes that he just makes people look silly with his 12-foot long stick. I've liked a lot of what I've seen from Tyler Myers this year, to be honest. Mango saying, do you think Boudreau will bring back the lotto lines anytime soon after the game today? Maybe. I don't like Pearson on that line with Besser and Miller. Pearson still is not impressing me very much, to quote Shania Twain. Pearson isn't doing it for me. I would like Patterson back with them the way he's playing right now. However, really like this Patterson, Garland, Podkolzin unit that they've got going on. So what other options do you have, right? Do you want to, try to go 2-line stack again and maybe put Höglander with Besser and Miller? Or I don't know. I mean, I don't want to split up Patterson, Garland, and Podkolzin right now. I've really liked their play. But they're not scoring a lot of goals, and maybe you score more goals with the Lotto line back together. I don't think anything's changing until the Canucks lose a game, because coaches don't do that. Coaches don't change things. Although they did take Chason out and put Dowling in. That was a change, which was a good change in my book. Thumbs up. But yeah, I don't think they're going to make any big changes. Bruce Boudreau doesn't seem to be the guy that does some big line changes like Travis Green did. He sort of makes some lines and sticks to them, it seems like, at least for now. Agam saying, I know if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but man, Lockwood would be a beast in the system. Yeah. If I'd be fine with a Lockwood over like a Dowling, for example, and then if you go out and if Rathbone gets healthy soon, put in Rathbone for like Hunt, then I think you're getting a little more offense, and it could be a little spicy. Teska saying, new fan here, started watching your post-game shows and Canucks After Dark. Keep up the good work. Bruce, there it is. Thank you very much, Teska, and thank you to everyone who's new here. Surprised that at an 11 p.m. Show here, we got 200 people in here again. Crazy. The team starts winning, and like double the people start showing up. It's crazy how that works, hey? Agam saying, Parker, you team playoffs? I'm just team have fun. I am team have fun, but I'd be lying if I said I'm not starting to look at the out of town scoreboard again and doing a bit of standings watch. And part of it is for this show, right? I'm looking to see how far out of it they are, because it's a good talking point. And, okay, well, how did Vegas do? How did Edmonton do? How did San Jose do? Right. And Calgary and, see how things are looking around the Pacific Division. But, I get that little glimmer of hope, like, what if, right? What if they go on a little run here? Because that would be fun. But for now, I'm just having fun, enjoying the ride, trying not to get my hopes up. But I'm at the point where every game I'm getting nervous. And I mean, we talk about the last two games, the two games the Canucks won in a shootout. Those final minutes when the game is tied, I'm like, oh, just get a point. Survive and get a point. Get a point. Come on, you can do it. Just make it till, like, get a point, right? The fact that I'm rooting for making it to overtime, getting a single point at least, so they're not falling further out of it. I think I'm trying to say that I don't have hope, or that I'm not trying to get too much hope, but I think my mind is, and my heart is just sort of taken over a little bit there. So I don't know. Lauren's sort of on the same page, saying I'm team have fun, but in the depths of my heart, there's that little twitch of hope. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I'm going to hate myself when they go on a losing streak and it all falls apart. But for right now, we can enjoy it. Chris saying, certainly makes sense not to be able to kick the puck into the net, but these high stick non-goals are just weird. I know it's not baseball. If you got the hand eye, you should be rewarded. The idea is they don't want people swinging sticks around the face, right? It's just safety. Like, sure, you can reach up and bat it in from up here, but if everyone is now trying to bat it in from up here, people are going to get sticks to the face a lot more. People are discouraged from doing that because it kills the play if you get a high stick, if you touch it with a high stick, or anything above shoulder height. So it's just to prevent, eyes from getting taken out, which I think is a good thing. Let's see here. Leo saying, once we have OEL and Hamonic back and the whole team starts committing to Bruce's system, playoffs might not be out of the question. I don't think they're going to be out of the question. I think they're going to be a long shot, but they might not be out of the question. Do I have the Athletic? Did they update their, did the Athletic update their standings predictions yet? I'm going to pull that up in a second here. Dimitri saying, how sustainable is this run? Demko's playing phenomenal and covering up for the increased XGA, expected goals against, but I really hope no matter the win-loss record, the rest of the season is just fun to watch now. Sustainable. I mean, no winning streak is sustainable, right? They're going to lose at some point, and that's fine. However, the improved play is sort of separate from the run they're on, right? Like, sure, they're on a 4-game winning streak. That's great. But the biggest thing that people are excited about is how different the team looks, right? Like the team genuinely looks better and they look more aggressive and feisty and they're playing better. So I think that's more of the focus. And is that sustainable? That's what I hope is sustainable. They're not going to win every game, but if they can, again, if they can win, win 2, lose 1 in a shootout, win 2, and just sort of go like, if they can go like 2-1-1 the rest of the way, I think that's close to enough. And then the occasional like 3-1, then, that could be sustainable, for example. Agam saying the next few games is pretty favorable too. Yeah, that's something we should go over. Let's go over the games to come here. By the way, we're 30 minutes in and I haven't died yet coughing. So that means we are on the upswing. They've got Columbus. Columbus is fine. They beat the Kraken 5-4 in OT yesterday. And they're on a nice little 2-day break for themselves, spending an extra night in Seattle. They're 14-11-1. So they're fighting in the Metro, and they're in a hell division, right? The Metro is terrible to be in. Then the Canucks get the Sharks, who are 15-12-1. So kind of a middling team as well. Then they get the Maple Leafs, and the Maple Leafs are crazy good right now, right? The Maple Leafs are 19-8-2, very similar record to Carolina, but we're talking way more goals for, way more goals against. So this is a game the Canucks are going to just need to try to outscore them. And then they have the Coyotes, which should be a fairly easy game. Then they have San Jose, Anaheim, Seattle, Anaheim, LA, and then it's the New Year. So yeah, only one really hard opponent in Toronto, and then a bunch of like 50-50 games, right? I'd say Columbus, that's a kind of a toss-up. San Jose, kind of a toss-up. They should beat Arizona. San Jose, again, kind of a toss-up. Anaheim, kind of a toss-up. They should beat Seattle, and then Anaheim and LA, should be fairly even games. So if the Canucks can go for the rest of the year, they have 9 games before the new year. If they can win 6 of them, Arizona, Seattle, and then go kind of, win 3 of the 5 games that aren't Toronto, maybe, then I think you're looking pretty good. Gmod says he thinks we'll get W's until Toronto. So Columbus and San Jose, that would be great. That would be huge for the team. Aisha saying, I can't believe I'm going to be rooting for the Leafs to beat the Oilers tomorrow. Yeah, let's start rooting for teams. Let's start doing the out of town scoreboard thing. I'll start adding those to my pluses and minuses if things get interesting. I'm going to try to catch up here a little bit. Niels Hoaglander saying, I went from team tank to team playoffs in only 7 days. Let's go, boys. It's kind of like 4 days for me, but hey, if you took you longer to come around, that's fair. Jaskaran saying, if a fan didn't throw the jersey on the ice, I don't think changes would have happened. So thanks to that fan. I think they were in the works with how fast like the Boudreau hiring happened. He said he had been talked to like 2 weeks prior. I think they were going to happen. That might have sent it over the line though. Agam saying Thatcher Demko on a 5x5 might be one of the best contracts in the league. It's already a steal, right? Demko already could be commanding like 7.5, I think, and that would be totally reasonable. The fact that the Canucks have his entire prime basically until he's 30 at $5 million a year is crazy. Let's see here. Some talk about Manuel talking about Thomas Drance being negative and stuff. I haven't really followed that too much. I really like listening to Thomas Drance, but he can be a little on the negative side. I try to be as square in the middle as I can. I go for the reasonability takes. Rero saying Patterson looked really solid, but I love how Myers is really picking his game up. Fully agree. For me, he was the MVP tonight, if not for Demko. Yeah. Second place. Sure. That's fair. But he's not Demko's definitely the number one. Let's see here. JX saying, what's your guesstimate on how long the winning streak will last? I'll say, I think that would be reasonable to say they win the next 2 if they are going to win more. I think Columbus is a game that they could lose. I think they should beat San Jose, but I could see Columbus giving them a hard time. They played how long ago? Columbus beat them 4-2 about 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago or so. Tokes a lot saying also the aggressive PK and the way Boudreau is managing our fitness based on play and line changes structurally gives us an advantage every game. Yeah, I do agree. And I sort of mentioned them sort of rolling the lines, right? Trying to keep guys fresh, giving guys 18 minutes of ice time, everyone's sort of in the 13 to 18 minute range of ice time, is good, right? That was the big strength of the Willie D year, that 1 year that the Canucks had 100 points, right? Is that the Sedins were playing like 17 minutes a night, and late in the season, they were fresh and they were ready to go. The problem is that he just didn't play guys more in the playoffs when they did get there. Jason saying, I'm not saying the Canucks will make the playoffs, but I won't say that they won't, right? Sure, I agree. Lauren saying the nice thing is that it's not completely hopeless anymore. Watching hockey with nervous excitement energy again was really missed. Yeah, it's stressful and I love it. It's taking years off of all of our lives, but hey, that's what we signed up for. Kai saying, honestly, I love Pearson, but I'm starting to get concerned his contract is going to age 3 by 3.25. So 2 more years at 3.25. He hasn't really been producing much and looks a tad bit slower. Yeah, I think Pearson needs to be on like a third line. Him with Besser and Miller, I think they're just sort of propping it up. I think they would excel with more of a playmaker like a Garland or a Pettersson would be great, or a Podkolzin or a Höglander even. I don't think Pearson should be up there. But again, I don't think they're going to change anything on this winning streak. Lots of questions about the streak ending, which we already sort of hit on. Justin saying, join late, just got home. Glad you're here. Thoughts on Pullman and Myers tonight? Very noticeable in a good way in multiple blocks. Yeah, they were both in my pluses. Actually, Myers might not have been, but Pullman definitely was. 7 blocks credited for Pullman. And I mean, I've been hard on him, but to go out there, like I said, in the last 2 minutes, play the whole 2 minutes and just keep pucks away from the net, good for him. Let's see here. Lieb said, when do you think the streak will end? I also think they should try to put in Halak. Yeah, so we already talked about when the streak might end, but yeah, Halak, this is tricky, right? The Canucks don't have any back-to-backs. Oh, they do. The Maple Leafs and the Coyotes games are back-to-backs. But again, it feels like Halak should be playing by now, like 1 game. But it's also like, hey, you got 2, you can wait till like maybe the Coyotes game or the Maple Leafs game, because he's going to have to play one of those. It's a tricky one, for sure. Shiraz with the 222 super chat. Thank you very much. Saying cheers. I appreciate that. Cheers to you too. I'm saying, I hope Bo gives the other centers some pointers on faceoffs. Yeah, it's he's the only one that was positive. Miller was 33%. Pettersson was 20%. Lamico at 44%. Total faceoffs 58% for the Canes, 42% for the Canucks tonight. Bo Horvat's so good at faceoffs. He's taking the most in the NHL. Can I pull up his stat? Is it on here if I just like go to his thing? Yeah, 56.64% on the season. That's really good. Nathaniel, how sick would it be to see Demko start for Team USA at the Olympics? I'm getting a little selfish. I hope they don't pick him. He should go. It'll be like him and Campbell and maybe like Gibson or Hellebuck or something. I hope they don't. I hope they don't take him. With what we've been hearing about sort of the China regulations and how they're saying if there's a positive test, you have to quarantine for between 3 and 5 weeks. So if Thatcher Demko were to test positive while in China, he would miss all of the Olympics, and then he would miss between 2 and 4 weeks of Canucks games, right? He'd miss between like 6 and 15 games or something. That's scary. And that's something that if the Canucks are in it in February, like by the time the Olympics come around 2 months from now, if the Canucks are in the mix, that's scary. Also, because Halak will probably be going for Slovakia too, right? So if the Canucks don't have any goalies, that's an issue. And Lauren asking about thoughts on the outlook of the Olympics in general. Yeah, it's not looking good. Hey, that if they don't fix that 3 to 5 week quarantine possibility in China, then things are not like players just aren't going to go because they're not going to risk missing 4 weeks of their season. A month, right? You could be out for all of March almost, which is scary. Our Canucks saying GM candidates. I hope they just go with some new blood, like not new blood necessarily, but like someone who's like an experienced AGM and has like a fresh mind and isn't like, Jason Botterill or something. That's my nightmare. If they go and get the guy who gave Jeff Skinner 8x9, that's a problem. Travis saying that Carolina needed Aho tonight. Yeah, he's such a difference maker. He's such a good player. Definitely could have changed the outlook of this game. But of course, the Canucks missing Ekman Larson is big for them. That's just sort of the thing with hockey, right? You miss a guy, and that can make the difference for you. All right, we're gonna take one or two more questions here. Little Cap saying, I like her getting to see more of Patterson on the ice under Bruce. Fully agree. Marty saying, when will we see Halak play? And I sort of touched on that, but I didn't give an answer. He'll definitely play in either the Toronto or Arizona game. And I'm almost thinking like you'd rather give Demko the Arizona game, get a guaranteed win, instead of using Demko in the Maple Leafs game. Again, it's a tricky scenario. But yeah, you don't want to overwork Demko. That is a fear. Leap saying, do you think Prime Demko will be better than Prime Markstrom? I do. I do. Yeah, I think so. Little Cap saying, any idea what's wrong with OELs because of the sleuth that happened against Boston? I don't know if that was it. I just know they said he's out. They say a week. Was that the guess? Like the goal was a week. And that was, I think they said that on like Wednesday or Friday after one of those games. I think it was like Thursday they said that. So hopefully maybe he's back in the lineup on Thursday against San Jose or Saturday against Toronto. But hopefully he will be back. Sharm saying, can teams allow or disallow players from going to the Olympics? It's up to the players. The Players Association has negotiated the right for the players to individually decide. They have to decide, I think, in like the middle of January is like the cutoff. So we'll know like a month in advance. Teams could like talk to the players though, right? They could go like, Thatcher, look, I know you want to go to the Olympics, but like we need you if we lose you for 5 weeks. Like they can talk to them, right? Which is what it would come down to. All right, we're going to wrap up there. Thank you guys very much. I went well longer than I expected to. I was going to only do 30 minutes, but I didn't expect there to be 220 people in here at almost midnight on a Sunday night. I'm going to get some rest for work in the morning. I will talk to you guys on Tuesday against Columbus. As always, shout out to our members, all of our VIPs and our backstage members, Terry, Kurt, and Shannon. Really appreciate you guys. You're all awesome. And everyone for hanging out with me this late on a Sunday night. You can find me on Twitter at ParkersPucks. You can join the Discord. You guys know all that stuff that you can do at this point. It's all linked down in the description. Have a good night, and I will talk to you on Tuesday.